Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Storytime Society. I'm your host Jamie and I'm so happy you're here. I'm so glad you're alive. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. If you haven't already, please press the subscribe button. I would really appreciate it because it just helps my channel and I would love the support. And let me know your thoughts at the end of this episode or whenever you feel like it, because I love to hear other people's perspectives, especially your guys's. And the theme of this episode is Best of Redditor Updates. Okay, so we are reading from the Best of Redditor subreddit, which means that all the stories we will talk about today have updates. And I know that you guys love that, and also I love that as well. So let's get into the first story. The title is My 14-year-old son got arrested yesterday, and I'm happy. Trigger warnings, death threats, domestic violence, emotional abuse and manipulation, victim blaming, and mentions of grape. Okay, that's a lot of trigger warnings. Yikes. Yesterday, my son was arrested by the police because he made death threats to two girls from his school. I've been fighting for years to get my son's psychiatric evaluation, but no one believes me. For context, in the past, I was a victim of domestic violence. The father of my children raped me, hit me, tried to strangle me, insulted me, and made death threats. He did all of this on impulse. He was never imprisoned because it was my word against his. I have full custody of my children, and he has them on weekends. He lives with his parents, so there is some safety for my children. Co-parenting with my ex has been a battle for over 10 years. He does everything he can to make me look like a bad mother. I'm the one who meets my children's needs while he just buys their love. My son is like his father. He has extreme impulses. He has punched holes in walls, been violent at school, and done many other things. I've sought help multiple times, but I keep hitting a wall. Our healthcare system takes too long and doesn't take enough action. Most doctors didn't believe me when I told them about the situation. They pretended to send the necessary documents, but nothing happened. We're being followed by a social worker from a program that helps young people, but even she didn't see the severity of the situation. Every week, I'm forced to attend family meetings with my ex, who boasts that he has zero problems with our son and that the issue is only at my house. When I spoke to the investigator, I told them I knew I would meet them one day, because no one ever believed me. I feel so sorry for the victims my son has harmed. I know exactly how they feel because I have felt it in the past. Now everyone is scrambling to cover themselves. The father remains in denial, refusing to take any responsibility. But the truth always comes out. My son is with me. We are waiting for his court date. He has restrictions. He will change school. Tomorrow, we will have a doctor's appointment to have medication and a reference in psychiatry. Little update. I saw another doctor today. Didn't want to help. He just said go to the ER. I'm sure we will wait for at least 16 hours. I hope this story ends up being a little bit better because obviously there's always good and bad in the world, and that's going to be something that happens forever. There's going to be good doctors, psychiatrists, therapists, and there's going to be bad doctors, psychiatrists, therapists. And unfortunately, I think the bad does outweigh the good, but the thing about it is that you don't have to give up after one visit. And I know that's definitely privileged speaking. Not everyone has the privilege of going to the doctors a bunch or trying a bunch of new therapists or doctors, or, some people can't afford to do that. So I am, cognizant? Is that the word? I don't know. I'm cognizant of that, if that's the correct way to use that word. But the good thing about it is that there are good people in all of those professions, and you can find them. It just takes a little bit of time. And on the one-off that you get lucky and you find one the first or the second time, amazing. Love that. But it's a lot harder, especially in this type of situation, when it's a much more serious situation. And obviously, the fact that she's trying to get help early on and before he truly becomes a fully developed adult is very responsible and great of her, because that's really all you can do as a parent is try to intervene while you can, while you have them, and so that they don't grow up to be the type of person that would abuse women or rape women or whatever it may be. Okay, some relevant comments. Can OOP get her son into a mental hospital and cut the father out? OOP, all mental hospitals are full and they only accept people with court order. Our streets are full of people who need help. I can't legally cut the father because of the court order. Our system helps more criminals to escape the responsibility instead of helping the victim. Just to see a specialist, it can take at least a year. Why didn't OOP take her son to a psychiatrist and a psychologist? OOP needs a doctor referral. Without one, you can't. They always refer me to some programs that take the problems like it's light and can be fixed just by talking. I have an appointment with my son to have one, and with what happens, I think they will believe me now. Where is OOP located and her area? Does her area have health care? OOP is located in Quebec. Our health system is oversaturated. People die in the ER without seeing a doctor because of all the cuts they do. The wait to see a specialist can take months, even more than a year. You pay a lot of money or you go outside the country. OOP explains about the courts in her area. The court never sees we are victims, even after the relationship is over. My ex's lawyer told the judge I was an unfit mother because I let my ex rape me. Stay strong. One day, they will see how good you are for your children. Okay, commenter 1, like father, like son. I hope the court sees how toxic your ex is for the kids, considering your son is starting to follow in his father's footsteps. The court needs to cut off contact completely, or at the very least, make it supervised so that conversations between father and son gets monitored. Behind closed doors, it'll be your word against his, unless your son repeats and confirms it. Any psychiatric help your son will eventually get won't be effective if his dad is in his ear with poison. Okay, it's interesting to me because I always hear things about Quebec is in Canada, right? Right? Quebec. Why is it in Canada? It's like the French kind of place in Canada. I heard that Canada's healthcare is good. Okay, no, I'm going to say this. The first thing I heard was that healthcare is not as good in countries that have free healthcare, okay? I think my ex told me that. He was trying to educate me which I don't know if this is education or not. I should probably just educate myself and make my own conclusions. But a long time ago, years ago, probably 4 years ago, he told me that because I was arguing with him, like, health insurance should be free, health should be free, healthcare should be free. Okay? And he was saying that because the U.S., the healthcare system here costs so much money, it motivates doctors and therapists and psychologists, psychiatrists, blah, blah, et cetera, to go to school to get the furthest education that they can, which makes our healthcare system better because they are motivated to get paid more than countries that have free healthcare because they don't get paid as much, which motivates them less, so the doctors aren't as good and there's not as much access, okay? That's what he told me. That's what I believed for a while, and I think I told you guys in a podcast, and then I did have some people commenting that lived in countries with free healthcare, and they were telling me the opposite, and so then that was my stance on things. I took your guys' word for it. See, that's how easily influenced I am, and I really need to calm down and just, like, educate myself. Because I don't know, what am I going to do? Like, someone's from that country and they tell me something, I'm going to believe it. Like, I don't think you're a liar. But now that this story is, like, kind of confirming the opposite. So let me know, guys. Obviously, I feel like it's very nuanced, might I say. Because I feel like there's always going to be ups and downs with everything. You know, like, there's no perfect society. There's no utopia. So obviously there's going to be bad doctors and good doctors everywhere. I mean, even here, even with that, like, theory or explanation that my ex explained to me, that still doesn't explain why there are bad doctors and bad psychiatrists, because there are just bad people. And also there are people that kind of just fly through what is the term? What is the metaphor? At the seat of their something. I don't know. But anyways, let's read the update. Okay. But seriously, let me know, guys. I need to know. I need to hear people's takes. Also, love that this update is March 20th, 2025. Again, okay, my birthday. So many people updating on my birthday. Update, my 14-year-old son got arrested, and I'm happy. 5 weeks later, March 20th, 2025. Several of you have asked me for an update, so here it is. In the days following the arrest, we consulted a clinic doctor to get a referral for psychiatry. He refused and told us to go to the emergency room. We didn't go because my son was not in crisis nor sick, and even less so injured. Our emergency rooms are overcrowded, and we risked waiting 20 hours. The first appointment we had after the incident with the social worker who has been following up with my son since August was very difficult. My son's father said as he was leaving that he had done everything for our son to get help. I shut him down by telling him that calling Child Protective Services for cleanliness issues, false complaints by the way, and the police for violence against me, I have never hit my son, even though sometimes he deserves a kick in the butt, only caused more problems for me and nothing else. During the meeting, the social worker tried to understand what was going through my son's mind. In short, it was a teenage argument that escalated. The next day, the social worker scheduled an appointment with me alone. She referred me to 3 support groups. She explained that even though my relationship with my ex is over, he continues to exert another form of violence called post-separation domestic violence, multiple stops in child support payments, and false complaints. I contacted one of the support groups, and they can help my son at the same time. My son has accepted that his behavior is not normal and that he needs help. Last Monday was the big day. My son appeared before the judge. Essentially, the lawyer received the case file that very morning, so the hearing was postponed to next month. On Tuesday, we had a meeting with the new school. We had a brief discussion with them. For now, I'm still waiting for everything, but mentally, I feel better. My ex is starting to realize that he's in trouble, and the worst is yet to come for him. Some relevant comments. Commenter 1, I'm glad you are heading in a better direction. Keep up with all of your counseling sessions. They will be of help to you. They will help your son. They will help both of you deal with each other. Let your ex do whatever he's going to do. He's just now realizing the error of his ways. What I suspect is that he's looking at his potential financial responsibilities. So in regard to your ex, just handle your business. Good luck to you and your son. Commenter 2 said, where are you, OP? When you've experienced DV, your kids experience it with you. They become violent because of it. He may need therapy. Is there any way you could get him to a trauma counselor or a psychiatrist? Isn't that what they're trying to do? Is this person reading? OP said, I'm from Quebec, Canada. We're waiting for it. I should have a call this week for it. And then commenter 3 said, as someone who has mental health problems, I hope so. So much your son can get the help he needs and feel inspired to keep it up. I've been in the psychiatric ward more than once, and life can be hard. But when I got on medication, my whole life changed. My mind was very quiet in a way I don't think I've ever experienced before. Maybe even you should inquire about some medication if it's possible, because it's truly a life changer. I know it doesn't always work the same for everyone, but there's hope with this and beyond. OOP said, I was thinking about the medication, but without a diagnostic, he can't have it. I know he needs it because sometimes he can't control his word during class. I don't know why that made me emotional, and I almost felt like I wanted to cry. Maybe because I'm supposed to be starting my period. Actually, I was supposed to start it yesterday, but because just the fact, honestly, I love medication. I'm gonna say it. I love medication. I'm so happy, and I know that not every case, just as this person said, and not every case, does it help, but there are so many instances where medication can help so much, and, in my life, medication has helped so much, and it's changed my life around 100 times, and I'm literally getting chills thinking about it. It's just, I'm, very grateful and very, I don't really know the word for it, but other than grateful that I'm able to, number 1, afford it, and number 2, afford the doctor's appointment to get me prescribed to it. And I'm very thankful that the medicine worked for me and that it helps me as much as it does. Although obviously I'm not experiencing this level, I still know how damaging mental health can be, and even at my severity, which isn't that bad comparative to other people. And I still felt like so terrible. And I know that it can get so much worse than it was even for me. Like, and I didn't want to be here anymore. But I know that, like, some people just have it so much worse and maybe can't afford or isn't able to, or maybe doesn't even recognize yet that they need medication, or maybe doesn't believe in medication, or maybe doesn't believe in therapy, or whatever that may be, because a lot of people don't. But I'm just so happy and thankful that I'm on medication and I figured out what worked best for me, and I had the ability and the privilege to go to therapy for a year, multiple times a week, and just like heal myself and come into the person that I am now, which obviously I'm still working on, and there's always more healing to do, kind of. I mean, I don't think that should be your number one focus in life, is just like focusing on what is wrong with you and fixing it, but you know what I mean. There's always more growing to do, I guess, is how I would put it, because you can always grow and learn more and just feel better and find ways to feel better as well, like exercising, and exercising really does help. It's crazy, I know, but it does. It really does. Okay, anyways, enough of that sob story. All right. There's another update. My 14-year-old son got arrested, and I'm happy. Update number 2, March 28th, 8 days later. So this was made today. I didn't think I'd be updating so soon, but something just happened that I wasn't expecting. When my son was arrested last February, I thought the police had checked his phone, but they didn't. On Wednesday, my son told me he no longer had his phone, and the school confiscated it. I was angry because I was sure he had done something wrong again. Yesterday, I went to school, and they informed me that it was a police order because they had to check if my son had complied with his conditions. I have to go back a little. My son dated one of the girls who threatened him. During the relationship, she sent him a video of herself and forced my son to do the same. I always told my children never to send this kind of video, saying all the consequences it can have. My son looked for a video on the internet and sent it to her, saying it was him. She blackmailed him with this video, saying that she was going to send it to everyone and that he should no longer hesitate if he ended the relationship. That's when my son got angry and made his threats. A few hours before the arrest, the 2 girls assaulted my son by touching him in certain places. Let's go back to this week. My son's old school was informed that the video of my son is circulating everywhere in several schools. They had to inform the police because my son is a minor, even if it's not him. My son decided to file a complaint against the girls, and according to the person I spoke to, the charges should be dismissed. We still have to go in front of the judge in 2 weeks. My son will still have help. We're not stopping the process, especially now that he is a victim and not an aggressor. Okay. That's crazy. What the hell? That just did a turn of events. But she was saying that this isn't the only situation in which he has exhibited aggressive behavior. So obviously she is saying that he's still getting help. But I do think, of course, he's a victim, of course. But he still needs help for the previous things that he's struggled with. And also, of course, he needs help. Like, he needs help with his anger first and foremost. Because he obviously learned a lot from the way that his dad treated his mom. And he's learned a lot from his dad in general. And still, the way he's still treating his mom. And that's one thing you really want to, nip in the bud before he grows up. And then, of course, being a victim of sexual assault, that's going to be something that he's going to need to work through and go to therapy for and heal through, hopefully, which I'm sure it's going to be a hard process, and it's going to just add a whole new layer of things that he has to work on and work through. But I don't think that means the other stuff should get pushed to the back burner, if you know what I mean. Like, I just feel like he has a lot. He needs to work on both ends of the spectrum, if that makes sense. Because obviously, like, the issues still stand, if I'm not mistaken. He's, even before the supposed death threats that he made, she said that he's been like this most of his life and, like, exudes a lot of the same behavior as his dad. So, but I feel terrible for him, obviously. Like, I'm not saying that, just because the way that he is, that means that he deserves that or anything, because no way in hell would I ever say that. I just think there's a lot of layers to it. Okay, let's read some comments. This person said, this is so heartbreaking because this woman is trying so hard to save her son, but the system keeps failing, and not just failing her, but failing her son. The fact that this boy has admitted his behavior is not normal and knows he needs help shows that he could grow up to not be his father, that he has a chance to be a good person. True, which I didn't really even talk about that, but I'm very glad that he's admitted that he realizes his behavior is not good, because that's just like, self-awareness is such a huge step in getting help for your mental illness. Like, there are so many people that go untreated with their mental illness because they aren't self-aware about their mental illnesses, and that can be so damaging, especially with mental illnesses that need medication and that cannot survive without having medication. Like, for example, bipolar. Like, if I'm not mistaken, you cannot live without medication as a bipolar person. And I'm almost 99% sure of that because I do have someone in my life that has bipolar. So, okay. Someone said it's like, oh wait, sorry. I didn't read the rest of that comment. But unfortunately, all these people in the different forms of authority seem determined to cause that to happen. I hope OOP is able to get the help both she and her child need. And then this person said, it's like this in other parts of Canada as well. Referral for psychiatry I've seen takes over a year in Ontario and Alberta. The child is incredibly suspicious for conduct order or ASPD, but getting into a pediatric psychiatrist is so difficult. Edit, thanks for sharing your own experiences in other countries. I guess this is a global problem that I didn't fully appreciate the scope. Appreciate your insights, everyone. Someone said, and Australia, by the way, minimum waits for psychiatric referrals are around a year where I am, unless you have thousands of money to go to private. Social workers are stretched to breaking point unless a kid is diagnosed with a disability, in which case they can access the NDIS, which takes a ton of time. There's often no avenue for parents to get their kids help until they're in the criminal justice system. This person said, I'm in the U.S. and have great insurance. Nearly everything is covered and it's accepted by most providers. My kid was on several wait lists for therapists and finally just started seeing one after 13 months. That's so interesting to me. I didn't know that people had that issue. I didn't have that issue myself, so I didn't realize that was an issue. That's actually crazy to wait 13 months to see a therapist. I can't believe people have to wait that long. The others have ghosted us. We no longer receive the "you're still on our list" emails once we hit a year, so I feel lucky the only one to ever call us is an okay fit. I don't think it's socialized medicine problem or even a mental health professional shortage, but that something is going terribly wrong for our young people now, and the profession as a whole didn't anticipate this level of need. Interesting perspective. I'm not sure that I agree with it, but I'm not sure that I disagree with it. I'd have to think about that, I feel like. I think that's a heavy statement to make. Okay, someone said, ProPublica had a recent piece on why mental health practitioners aren't available through insurance, basically because the insurance companies don't want them to be. See, now that I thought about it for 2.5 seconds, I'm not sure that this is my initial take, and maybe I'll change my mind after thinking about it for a little bit. My initial take is that I actually don't think that something is going terribly wrong for our young people now. I actually think that our young people are just not brainwashed into believing that mental illness is a weakness and that it's not real and that you can't get help for it. And so more people are accepting that they need help or wanting to get help than they used to, because, you know, even when my parents were growing up, it was way more taboo of a subject. Like, even when I was kind of growing up, like, a little bit, honestly, I feel like only in the past 7 to 9 years has it, like, really changed. I feel like before that, it still was a little bit taboo. Like, say you're depressed and, you know, everyone's gonna look at you funny. Everyone's gonna be whispering about you in the hallways. So I don't know. I'd have to think about that still, but, like, that's my initial thoughts on that subject. Okay, the title of the next story is, I, 26 female, think my boyfriend, 30 male, is exaggerating or faking his illness. Trigger warning, exploitation. The original post was March 19th, 2025. I saw someone's post yesterday about navigating life with a partner who has fibromyalgia and felt inspired to post here. I'm hoping y'all can give me some solid advice. I, 26 female, have been with my boyfriend, 30 male, for a little under 2 years. In the time we've been together, his chronic pain, which isn't connected to any particular known condition as he refuses to go to the doctor, has gotten worse and worse. It's reached a point where he's almost incapable of doing chores or house projects. It's usually too exhausted and in pain to make or agree to plans, and getting him to do anything outside of the house together is like pulling teeth. His objections always revolve around his pain and fatigue. I've never suffered from chronic pain, and thank God, so I'm not one to judge or accuse someone of making it up, since the pain itself is invisible and my boyfriend looks perfectly healthy, but he's now been unemployed for about 4 months and I'm starting to question things. I'm starting to feel doubtful for a number of reasons, and the main ones are that A, he never turns down his friends' invitations to hang out, even when the activity is something physically intense like kayaking or going hiking or going to a music festival, and B, he is never too tired or in too much pain to have sex. Over time, it's almost made it seem like he's conveniently in an unbearable amount of pain when he has to do something he isn't all that interested in, i.e. chores, and I'm starting to feel hurt that he just doesn't seem to want to hang out with me outside of what we do lazing around the house. I've never accused him of faking or exaggerating his pain, but I have tried to talk to him about doing more fun stuff together, and it always circles back to his pain or him accusing me of trying to keep him from spending time with his friends, which I'm not trying to do by any means. I've done a ton of research into autoimmune disorders and other conditions that could be causing his problems, always springing my findings and suggestions to him, but he just doesn't believe a doctor or any traditional medicine will help him. I'm also bothered because when we go to family outings or parties that we're both invited to, it's rare, but it does happen, he will talk to anyone who will listen, ear off, about how bad his chronic pain is and how frustrating it is to not be able to find a solution. The thing is, he's not actually looking for a solution. He just smokes weed every day and calls that good enough while lamenting and complaining that his body is the way that it is. He also refuses to return to work because of his pain. For additional context, he seems to have really extreme muscle spasms / tightness, particularly in his back. I'm happy to support him through hard times, but the fact that he won't work is getting concerning and I feel severely stuck. I'm not interested in supporting him financially on a long-standing basis, but at the moment I partially am by covering some of his expenses. If this post makes me a total asshole for questioning the degree of my boyfriend's chronic pain, so be it. I just need some answers. So here are my questions. Where do I go from here? Do you think it's possible that my boyfriend is using his pain as a crutch? Should I put some kind of ultimatum in place that will get him medical care / attention? Your advice is appreciated. I feel like he's probably not completely lying. I feel like he probably does struggle a little bit, but knowing the context that he is perfectly fine to go hang out with his friends and do intense activities, or when you want to have sex, he is perfectly fine doing that. But when it comes to things that you want to do together, which is like giving that he doesn't want to hang out with you, which I think if your boyfriend doesn't want to hang out with you, you're not with the right person. Frankly, dump him, to be honest. Like, I don't think that you should have to force your boyfriend to hang out with you, and I don't think that you should have to beg your boyfriend to hang out with you, because they should want to hang out with you and they should be excited and love to hang out with you. Okay, top comment says, Even if he does have a chronic illness, he isn't doing anything to get a diagnosis or treatment, and he is willing to push on for things that benefit him and only him. He's also developed a drug addiction he has no pains of curbing. I am chronically ill. I am busting my ass trying to find answers and help because living like this sucks. I do everything in my power to support my partner and care for our home. While sometimes that's not a ton, I always prioritize contributing to my household over kayaking, which, even if I could push through to do, would put me down for a week. This man is using and taking advantage of you. Disabled or not, he also has dumped this on you without you consenting to be his financial caretaker. You're not married. There is no in sickness and health here. Leave him. Jesus. Honestly, I agree with that, to be so real. Also, I'm going to answer one of her questions that I don't think I really addressed, but should she put some kind of ultimatum in place that will get him medical care and attention? I think absolutely not. Because you are not his mom, you are not his grandma, you are not his probation officer, you are not his legal caretaker, decision maker. Like, you are his partner, and a partner means that you both are individual people. You take care of each other, but you don't force each other to do things, and you should each individually want to be the best version of yourselves for yourself and partly for your partner as well. But he should want to get the medical care and attention. You shouldn't have to force him into it by giving him an ultimatum. Like, that's just no. Okay, there's an update, so we're gonna read it now. I think my boyfriend is exaggerating or faking his illness. Update, March 21st, 2025. Thank you to everyone who responded to my post and was so compassionate and kind. It was incredible to hear from so many people who actively battle chronic pain/illness and those with loved ones who do. I hope to continue deepening my empathy towards anyone who is struggling with an invisible illness. On to my update, armed with some fresh perspectives and some fresh frustrations, lol. I talked to my boyfriend and told him that he needs to see a doctor or I will no longer be able to support him financially and stand by him while he remains unemployed and unmotivated to get the help that he needs. I also addressed the idea of managing/balancing his energy levels differently so that we're able to share household responsibilities more effectively, spend quality time together, and keep him doing the things he loves with his friends. His response was really bad. He told me that if I'm not willing to step up and clean around the house, something I'm already doing, that there's no use living together and that my efforts to clean are the bare minimum and not good enough for his standards anyways. He was also really mad, and I haven't taken initiative to take care of yard projects and car repairs. He sat there and spouted off a whole list of things I'm not noticing and cleaning. And once again, he was focused on this idea that I don't like his friends/am jealous of them and want him spending less time with them, which is not true at all. This really stung. He basically brushed over everything I said and focused on my perceived faults. This told me everything I need to know, and I told him I was leaving. He was just mad. Not sad or hurt at all. I'm still crying excessively over his whole reaction. I still don't know how real or unreal his chronic pain is, but I guess it doesn't matter anymore. Thank you, everyone, for your support and kindness. I'm truly at a loss. Okay, well, this is going to be the best thing for you. This is truly you're going to be in a better place, and you're going to find someone that isn't going to put all of the responsibilities and all of the regular life stuff that you are supposed to handle together on you, and also the financial responsibilities. Like, what sorry. I'm stumbling on my words over here. Although I don't think that, you should depend on your partner for everything. Wait, how am I wanting to word this? I just feel like it should be equal. You guys need to be equally yoked. And whether that means even that one, it's also however it works for the couple as well. Like, obviously everyone's different, so there's going to be an equality that's different for everyone, if that makes sense. Like, some people 50-50 works best, some people 70-30 works best, but it's really something that you have to come to a conclusion together that will work best for the both of you, that you both will be happy with. And clearly you're not happy with that because you're doing 100 and he's doing 0. And even if that were the case, like, well, I think that usually in a partnership, when someone is like, say, someone's financially 100% and the other person 0%, in other ways, this person is 100% or 70% in their efforts that are apart from finances. Am I wording that right? Let me know. Let me know down below. Okay, let's read some comments. This reminds me of a boyfriend I had, but his answer after going to the doctor was, "We can move in with my parents so you and my mom can take care of me." Never felt my feelings for someone leave that quickly before or since. That's actually wild. Someone said, "Crazy, I felt my ovaries dry up at that from afar." No, seriously. Me too, and I don't even have ovaries anymore. Literally, same. Boots. For me, it was hearing his mother say, "I'm so glad I have you to take care of my baby boy. Your baby boy is physically an adult, and his inability to function as one is killing my desire to do anything for or with him." That was my wake-up call to file a divorce. Oh, God. Please. That actually sounds so terrible. Like, I'm thanking all of the heavens and the earth and the gods and angels that I don't have to deal with that or put up with that kind of behavior from a man. Genuinely, like, I don't know how people do it. I really don't, because there's no way, like, there's no fucking way that I would be able to, and maybe it would take me a while to get out of that situation, which God fucking forbid, but I would never fully settle for that type of relationship. I don't have it in me. I would be fighting tooth and nail, but I would end up eventually piecing the actual F out because no. Hi guys, sorry to interrupt, but if you want extra content weekly, go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/storytimesociety. If you want to listen on Spotify because you're trying to fall asleep or you're driving, then head to the link in the description. And if you're there and you don't mind, please rate me 5 stars on there. It really helps with the algorithm. And then the last thing is we have a subreddit linked below. We have a lot of things linked below, but the subreddit, you can share any stories that you want to share. Okay, thanks. Love you guys. The title of the next story is, "Should I, 30 female, tell my brother, 34 male, that he's gone viral? His ex-wife, 30 female, published a popular article about how shitty he is. Trigger warning, accusations of abuse." Original post was May 16, 2020. You know how your Android homepage pulls articles it thinks you would like to read into a feed? Today the robots brought me a very dubious present, an apparently popular article featuring my ex-sister-in-law, let's call her Eve, from one of those Facebook-driven clickbait sites. The article is about my brother. I don't want to link it as it uses her real name and photos, but for context, it's gotten 33,000 shares, and a video that highlights the story has almost 2 million views. It's meant to be a love story about her real profound struggle to leave her first husband, my brother, who we'll call Jim, to be with her current partner. She seems very happy with the new guy, which is great, but she felt the need to introduce the story by painting my brother as a fat-shaming, dream-crushing, emotionally abusive bastard. She repeatedly returns to her misery as his wife as a refrain. Let's be clear, Jim's not a fat-shaming, dream-crushing, emotionally abusive bastard, and nothing in this article revealed anything worrying about him to me. I know more about the situation from Jim and Eve than I honestly want to. Jim feels things very deeply, but sucks at talking about it. His big expressions of love usually involve kind acts he never mentions to anyone, and he hates spending money. Eve feels deeply too, but her approaches clashed with his. She always scaled the highs and lows of her life into public epics, and her big expressions of love usually involved big gifts. They got married very young. She walked out on him after 10 plus years. They're both much better off. He still blames himself for almost everything. The melodramatic article is pretty par for the course, Eve, but as you might deduce from the above, Jim is a profoundly private person. He cares very much how others see him. I want to curl up and die just thinking about how much he would want to curl up and die reading this article. Jim and I weren't super close growing up, but we are now. Like a lot of siblings, we're simultaneously polar opposites and the same person. I act more like an Eve than Jim, case in point. I'm asking about this on Reddit, but he and I react to emotional situations in very similar ways. If something like this was out there and about me, I would want to know, especially since real names and photos are involved in the article. He's not named, but it's a small town. I would be devastated if my loved ones knew and didn't tell me. I live in another state. I have no idea if he knows about the story. Jim isn't heavy Facebook user, but it's an important news source to a lot of his friends. My family has a bad habit of hiding things in order to theoretically protect loved ones from pain, so I can't really ask them. My personal impulse to tell him is at war with the family habit, and I genuinely don't know which is for the best. Help, kind strangers. Well, I think that if your immediate gut is telling you that this is something that he would want to know, and you're saying that you guys are so much alike and you would want to know as well, then I think that's your answer. You should tell him because you know that he would want to know. Okay. Some relevant comments. I think you should let him know that you saw the article, that you thought it was unfair to him, and ask if he's aware of it. If he does already know, he might appreciate a sympathetic ear. If he doesn't know, he would probably much prefer to find out from you than someone he isn't as close to who might not choose their words carefully. This seems outrageously far-fetched. Is your brother a British prince or something? How would Google even know to recommend some clickbait obscure article about people in another state? LOL, yeah, it's all a bit wild to me too. She writes for the township paper sometimes, and usually I get those articles in my feed. Yesterday, another local paper featured her in one of those reverse parades teachers have been doing because of quarantine, and I clicked on it. I assume that's why Google decided to look for more stuff involving her. Okay, interesting. Someone said, I don't want to link it as it uses real names. Is Jim's full name listed in the article? How easily could one deduce that the brother you personally know as a Jim is the same person that this author Eve is speaking about? I'm not a lawyer, but depending on the nature of her writing, it may be slander. If her statements are both specific and falsifiable, talk to a lawyer. But regardless of the legalities, if your understanding of the popularity of the article and Jim's social media network suggests that either he, a friend, or a professional colleague could get a hold of this article and its contents, you should warn him. This could allow him advance notice of knowing about the article before someone whose opinion he cares about finds out. He can be then prepared for any questions, concerns, or backlashes that he gets. But if you think it's not popular enough for the situation to happen, then it's up to you. Someone said, they responded and said, thanks for your response. I should have clarified it contains the full names and photos of his ex and her new partner, but my brother is fortunately only referred to as the first husband. You wouldn't have to do much sleuthing to Google her name and find his from wedding announcements, etc., but it's not literally written in the article. Edit. Thank you for all of the advice. I'm calling him tomorrow after recruiting a close friend who can be there in person at a socially safe distance to talk after, plus asking his wife to take the call with him. Some people have asked about the emotional abuse thing. I'm very, very confident about my understanding of our situation, but I'm not comfortable sharing all the gory details here. I've removed a couple of my comments below. I feel like I said too much. I'm trying to avoid attacking Eve's character more than my explanations already do, plus avoid trying to prove my brother's innocence for people unwilling to take me at my word by dishing out even more stuff about his private life, especially since it's all out of context. To hopefully satisfy the curiosity a little bit without being too huge of an asshole, the article and its contents are part of a long documented pattern of Eve's choices in a variety of life areas. Jim has only had supportive, positive relationships outside of this one, and has since gotten remarried to an awesome woman who never hesitates to communicate openly in a healthy way. But people who do report abuse should always be heard and assumed to be honest, and their accusations should be seriously and fairly investigated. Okay, we are going to read the update now. Should I tell my brother that he's gone viral? His ex-wife published a popular article about how shitty he is. Update. This was 1 week later, so May 23rd. As positive an update as there can be, my brother, aka Jim, his wife, aka April, and I video chatted a couple of days ago now. Long story short, they already knew, and he's toughing it out like a champ. They've been showered with support from all sides, which probably makes him more uncomfortable than ever, but he seems to at least appreciate the good intentions. We took a couple minutes alone, and Jim seems more worried about the extra stress this inevitably puts on April than about himself, for better or worse. He told me he knows that it's all bull and that it doesn't quite feel real. I flailed around trying to ask him to please call if that ever changes, since I can reality check with him from the era of Eve, the ex. I hope he would, though I'm not sure how realistic it is to expect that or to assume that he wasn't just putting a rosy lens on for me. April was able to tell him first. One of Jim's friends called her soon after the article caught fire to check on them. She looked it up and talked to him right away. It's no one's first experience with Eve's choices, unfortunately. April's amazing, and there really couldn't be anyone better to process this with him. They ended the call because the kids were climbing him like a jungle gym, begging to play Legos. So they're already doing a great job helping him focus on the things that matter. Thank you again for all of your help. Good Redditors. Slay! Okay, love that. The top comment says, yeah, if your public declaration of love involves mentioning your ex, I don't want it or you. Oh, I get what she means. I mean, what is she? Is she like a journalist or something? Because I don't know. I feel like it depends on what the job is. Because like obviously, if like you're an influencer or something, you're gonna talk about your ex for like entertainment purposes. I mean, I talk about my ex to talk about like certain experiences that I've had in my life, but then I could go on the next sentence and say how much I love my current boyfriend. I don't know. Is that the same thing? I don't know. That'd be crazy to see an article written about you, though. Oh my God. Also, like, it sucks because obviously, in different times of your life, there are different versions of you out there that other people know, and they don't know the current version of you, which could be more healed or just a better person. I mean, I think everyone has that, like, a little bit of, thinking about how, 10 years ago me is not the same me as I was 17, probably doing some crazy shit, probably picking up a dead possum from the middle of the road and burying it and making a grave for it because I felt bad for the possum. And then my friends are like, "Are you okay?" And then I'm like, "Yes." Like I was probably doing some so dumb. Oh my God. Sorry. That sounded like the loudest duck I've ever heard or something, and I'm scared. Like, did the duck just get hit by a car? It literally sounded like a duck just got hit by a car or something. I'm gonna freak out. But anyways, yeah. Like 17, if you knew 17-year-old me, you cannot say you knew me or you know me, which I highly doubt people would say that. No, dude, they probably would because like people from my hometown would be like, "Oh yeah, I know her." You don't know me. If I don't talk to you anymore or you haven't talked to me since I was 17, you know 17-year-old me. She is not the same. I mean, I was still, you know, I was still kind of funny and cool, kind of, but I was also fucking crazy and wild. So, which you know what? I kind of still am, but just not to not to like the immature extent. I'm definitely a lot more mature now and well level-headed. So, thank you very much. But that's all the stories we have today. So I hope you enjoyed them. Please let me know what you thought about those. Before this, I got sushi for lunch and some Diet Coke, and I filmed a little chit chat. Literally just me yapping and wapping and trapping. Not trapping. Don't say that. On camera. And I'm going to post it on my vlog channel, which is linked below, which some of you watched my vlog that I posted on there like a fucking 2 years ago. No, it was like a month ago, but felt like 2 years ago. And I'm going to post it on there. And then also, I've said this a couple times already, but the truth or drink that I want to do, the link is also below, so you guys can ask me anything. It's an anonymous form. So whatever you guys want to ask me, because I want to film a truth or drink for that channel too. But yeah, if you want to see a more like personal side of me, I'm going to post more personal videos on that channel and more like chit chats and vlogs here and there, and the truth or drink, maybe some mukbangs. I kind of filmed a mukbang today, but not like crazy. I was just eating my sushi while like talking, and that's all I kind of have to say. My mom's coming to town soon, so I'm trying to film a couple extra videos so that I don't have to work as much while she's here the first week. She's coming for 2 weeks, so I'm not stacking up 2 weeks worth of work. I'm gonna try to not work as much the first week. I'm just going to have like a couple computer things to do for like an hour or two a day while she's here the first week, and then the second week I'll be back to my schedule because I can't do that. I can't. Like, no. I gotta stay the course, you know? I just don't have it in me to like fully whip up 2 weeks worth of content within not that big, not that, what am I saying? Not that much amount of time. So yeah, anyways, today and tomorrow and the next day, I will be filming extra content, but not extra for you guys. Sorry. Just extra for me, because usually I'm not filming this much in 1 week. Anyways, love you guys so much. Thanks so much for listening. I'll talk to you guys in the next episode. Bye. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.